Hey, my name is Impasta, and may I take your order? Alright, I've been filling out a few applications today, and this is the last one. I've been applying to work at restaurants all over. It might not seem glamorous, but I want to see how different places run. If I want to open my own restaurant someday, it's crucial to see what does and doesn't work. A friend told me I should save my top pick for last, and I should really kick him for that. My hand's about to fall off. It's a pretty ritzy establishment, but comfortable. Fancy, but not overpriced. Important clientele, but still kind and inclusive. If you can't make connections here, you're dead. Financially speaking. And the food? Remarkable. I've never heard of anyone ever having a bad meal there. I gotta know how they accomplish so much. So I try not to be too nervous, and fill this out like it's any other application. My first name is... M. As me. There we go. Imp. I fill in my address and try not to despair over my handwriting before getting to the personal section. Gender is... I am a male. And I finish filling out the form. I cap the pen and lean back in my chair. It's nice to be done. Well, except for heading outside and turning them all in. One at a time. Better get to it. 2 weeks later, and I'm waist deep in my first Saturday shift at the restaurant. I like how the restaurant doesn't even have a name. Busy doesn't even begin to describe it. After 7 hours of the weekend rush, I'm ready to go home. Hi there. I stop off at table 6 and go through the motions. Thank you for dining with us, sir. My name is Imp, and I'll be your server this evening. He smiles at me. Pleasure to meet you, Imp. Have you dined with us before, sir? Yes, indeed. I'm quite happy to be back. Just you this evening? No, my girlfriend will be here shortly. I'll just have a cup of coffee while I wait for her. I'll go get that for you right away, then. No rush. Countless families and couples have come and gone today, but for the past hour, that one guy's been clogging up table 6. Are you doing alright, sir? He checks his watch again. Yes, I mistook the time. She'll be here any second. He's been saying that for the past 45 minutes. I'd tell him to pack it up and leave, but he doesn't have the look I'd expect of someone in his position. There's anxiety, but only a little bit. And there's no disappointment. Not a shred of doubt in his eyes. He really thinks... Excuse me? He looks at me. It seems he's come to some sort of decision. Thank goodness. But this is a restaurant with crayons, correct? Yes, sir. We have those for kids. Excellent. A sting of ferocity enters his eyes. One that doesn't quite pair naturally with crayons. One, please. And a red, if you've got it. Yeah, sure. And I'm not about to argue with a customer, so I head to the front. It's not exactly usual, but the guy has been sitting here for a half an hour with no phone. I'm caught between pity and irritation. And hope, for the umpteenth time. That he has enough empathy to tip well on the single cup of coffee he's been nursing. There's a small tin with several crayons. We try to keep fresh ones ready. I grab. He wanted red crayon. I snatch up a red crayon. No sense being mean to him. He may be weird, but he's probably having a bad night too. I bring the crayon back over to him and hand it over. Thank you, Mr. Imp. It's no big deal. Hey, are you okay? I saw you don't have a cell phone, but we could call your girlfriend and... No warning. No nothing. He knocks everything off the table and climbs right on. What? Sir? Please get down. His deft hand scrawls a wide circle, then another, then sections off areas, slicing as though the crayon were a knife. He fills it with symbols. They look almost like zodiac signs. Homo sum humani a me nihil alienum puto. Isn't that a swear word? It's like I stood up too fast. There's a rushing to my head. There's a pressure, like my ears are going to pop. Ow. Ah. The tablecloth rips, and there's a spray of sweet-smelling fluid. I leap away from the table as something bursts out. Hi there. Wet, spiked appendages are flailing all over, slapping and snaking their way over the windows and doors. They're fleshy, but soft, too soft, and they mush and disfigure as they slam against everything in sight. One smacks a hat off another diner, who continues to eat her meal, unfazed. Nobody is screaming, and nobody notices me on the ground, arms raised to protect my face and throat too tight to scream again. But that's okay. The thing is screaming enough for the entire restaurant. It's letting out a dual-tone screech, high and low, but I can't discern one throat, let alone two. Crayon thrown to the floor, the stood-up guy, and worst diner ever, starts to call out at it. Sweetie, for goodness sake, put your body on. We're in a nice restaurant. It screeches and roars back at him. I know, but... He waves a bundle of cloth at it. I brought you some clothing. And it's super comfy. It slurps up the bundle of fabric, and the creature bubbles and draws back in on itself, twisting until... You look very happy. I emerge. You're here. You had me worried, so I figured I'd help break the barrier down a bit. Taleporia, you have no idea how good it is to see you. When he says that word, my ears finally pop, and my teeth grit. It's a bad word. It's not a curse word, per se, not so much a word you wouldn't say in front of your boss. It feels like the wrong answer in a classroom or meeting. That moment when everyone turns and looks at you, and you just want to sink through the floor. I just want to sink through the floor. I want to very quietly go get my coat and change my name and move to whatever town is on the exact opposite point on the globe from where I'm currently standing. You informed me that the barrier was to be frail in this portion of the world. I will hold you responsible for the trouble. He's beaming at the thing that came out of the hole, but I can't look at it. It hurts to roll my eyeballs toward it like I'm dehydrated. When I close my eyes, the dark behind my eyelids is so cool and so soft. Huh? There are tears running down my cheeks. I hadn't noticed. The guy, Hendrik, beams and gestures toward the gaggle of eyes and puffy wool. This is my girlfriend, Teleporia. Impotent microbe. I may choose to craft for myself the form of creator, a birthing one. But I am capable of far greater creations than your prepubescent females. And far more erroneously, your inflated ego thinks I would deign to refer to you as any form of companion. Her words wash over him like a gentle breeze. It looks like she could rip his face off, but her roars just make his eyes brim with joy. We've been dating for about 400 years now, and though the long distance thing is an eensy bit of an annoyance, make it work. The moment I finally devise an effective method of accomplishing your demise, I will rip your soul from your ever-regenerating body and chew it to a gruel. He sits down at the all but destroyed table and picks up his menu. But until that beautiful day when I can be with you forever, you're going to need to eat something else. Teleporia stops. She looks at me, and I bounce between eyes, trying to make contact with one that doesn't stare down into my deepest inadequacies. There is human fuel here. I nod. Her mouth breaks open into a smile? Excellent. You were spared from punishment, Hendrik, if only for the moment. She sits down, but not on a chair. Dozens of her tentacles are still present throughout the entire room, spikes driven deep into the surfaces, blocking all the exits. She settles into one of the squishy appendages, looking pleased. So then, maybe we should order an appetizer. It's not that I can't believe that this is happening. I have an open mind. But as far as sudden supernatural shifts to my life, I was really hoping for wizard school. Or just a plain old haunting. Some ghosts are pretty cool, right? At least with a zombie or something, I'd know the rules here. What are the rules with this thing? Do I throw rice on the ground to stall her? Will she attack me if I touch her with iron? I listen to my gut, but I can't make out anything but general foreboding. Demon? You summon demons? So, that fits. But, I don't know, something doesn't seem quite right about that. Maybe she's a... excuse me. Oh, I can barely think, but I can at least fall back on one set of rules. I struggle to stutter out the rote reply. What? Would you like to start off with super salad tonight? The man grins and gives an eager nod. Could I please get the blue cheese salad? And for my sweetie... The teleporia rolls her eyes and her teeth flash as she cuts in. Hendrik, I've been on enough of these sham dates to know that ordering for your companion is rude. His face falls. But it's been ages since you've eaten any food. You're chewing on the fork right now. She gives him a glare and slowly places the slightly bent cutlery back down on the table. Fine. But before he can say another word, she makes her move. I don't want your advice, though. I want the young human to choose for me. Oh, no. He sighs, annoyed. But he checks himself before looking at me. I think he knows that she's putting me on the spot. I can appreciate that he's trying to look out for me. I mean, I'd appreciate it more if he could have not summoned some kind of Eldritch thing during an already busy Saturday shift. Or at all. I eased my throat open enough to squeak out. Lamb chia? This doesn't seem to mean much of anything to her. Great. And what would you like for your entree? She slams a fist down on the table. My stomach lurches. First, bring me the matter. This physical form requires fuel to sustain itself. I turn on my heel and fly out of there. An excuse to leave. If there are any kind of extra-dimensional beings looking down on me right now, I would like to take this opportunity to thank them. I rush into the kitchen. Back in the kitchen. Everyone's still bustling about. Other servers are calling in their orders. The ambitious cooks are waiting. Working. The slightly less ambitious cooks are cracking jokes with each other. They're as oblivious as the customers up front. I could see my manager discussing so many changes with the head chef. Hey, does anyone else see what's going on out there? but nobody turns to look at me. Hey, I'm serious. What the hell is going on? Are they ignoring me? Do you expect me to just come back here and bring in this order like nothing's wrong? I take a sarcastic tone. Yeah, we got a blue cheese and a chili for table 6. Just another usual night, right? Without warning, the tray with the order is put down on the counter next to me. But other than that, there's no hint of a glance, no guilty looks. Hey! Nobody even flinches. Fine. Looks like I'm on my own. And did I tell you how lovely your eyes are this evening? From your ever-effusive sewer pipe of compliments springs something worthwhile. I made most of them myself, but the eye in the center of my head was my reference object. I couldn't even tell the difference. Your anatomy has gotten so much better since last decade. It is. Easier when I have a fresh supply of study materials. So I suppose I can remain here long enough to consume some matter. Let no sentient being claim that I do not repay my debts. Well, that's just one of the perks of the job. Teachers can bring home knowledge, cooks can bring home food, and surgeons can bring spare body parts back to their girlfriends. I can say with relative certainty that that isn't how it works. If I ever find out this man's last name, I am never going to his hospital. I served Teleporia her chili, trying not to get too close. Please be careful, it's very hot. Remember, sweetie, that too much heat can injure— Silence, meat garden. I know what to do with volatile heat sources. She flings a scalding liquid across the table, and it hits Hendrik square in the chest. Ah! He rushes out to the bathroom, face red from pain. We don't serve our soups at a heat that could do permanent damage, but that still has to hurt. She closes most of her eyes and inhales a deep breath, satisfied. When she speaks again, her rough voice has a tranquil tone. Clean it up, human. This is an establishment with standards, is it not? Well, it was, I mutter. The elegant charm might be a bit altered by the sudden presence of giant tentacles. She snuggles down into her seat. This is a gift for your owners. This is a sliver of my true form. Well, it's lovely that you didn't like the chili. It said sorry. Sorry that you didn't like the chili. Apology unnecessary, human. I enjoyed that immensely. She sniffs the air, and it smells nice as well. She dabs a little of the meat on her neck. This body has concentrated blood flow around the throat and wrist. These pulse points heat and disperse stray molecules of matter, allowing humans to perceive them with their noses. She seems quite pleased with this luxury. She wraps the scarf around herself. Now that I think about it, the clothing Hendrik brought for her is all very heavy. A maxi skirt, a thick sweater, and a blanket scarf? The way you're clutching that scarf, are you cold? You may not have my scarf. It retains my heat. I will continue to generate and retain heat, and it will belong to me, not you. I take a step back. No, that's all your heart. I'm doing something. No, that's all heat. Fair and square. Your heat. She growls. Happily? Yes, all mine. Hendrik will be procuring more matter this evening, which will continue to power this form. Physical exertion is a luxury, the caloric energy necessary to move but a digit. She lifts one of her own claws. Is precious. I have gone for thousands of years, lying in wait for foolish summoners to tear open rifts and let in the good heat from your world. Teleporiad leans down on the table. The edges of the scarf trail into her chili. Or at least what's left of it. Is it selfish to be happy that she's disarmed now? I look at the still present tentacles and recalculate that statement. She at least cannot harm me with soup. And that's something. So, human, how do you enjoy generating your own heat? Good. I'd rather just turn on the heater, though. When it gets cold, I can't bring myself to do much of anything, so I'll just turn up the thermostat. She slams a hand down. No. This is unacceptable. Lazy, lazy human. In the void, there is no heat. There are no suns off of which to leech like some creature that lives off the blood of another. I don't think she knows that the verb correlates to an actual animal. You need to be more grateful. And Hendrik returns. Getting along well? As well as might be expected. Still, thank you for keeping her company. We'll eat our appetizers and... She shakes her head. I'm finished with mine. He laughs. Of course. How could I forget? So then, would you like to move on to the main course now? The next part of the meal? Ah, yes! With the larger portions. Hendrik points to her menu. So, what were you thinking about? I always like steak, but I admit that I was kind of thinking about splurging on the... Hey, human imp! I snap to attention. Yes, ma'am? Choose. Do it promptly and wisely, or else I will need to consume something else for my main course. She's staring me right in the eyes, and her gaze lingers on my mouth. She stares at my teeth, and licks her lips. Could she eat my teeth? Well, I think you would enjoy... Fuck your steak ideas. Who cares about steak? The chef's special today is a fresh spaghetti with squid ink and Cajun shrimp. She sighs. Squids. I have a special place in my heart for cephalopods. Oh, so you added that fifth valve? It's nurturing cuttlefish eggs at the moment. Aw. I look to him for his order. I'll keep up with the seafood theme. 1 lobster, no butter, please. But lobster and butter is just such a good combination. How could you not? Coming right up. The cooks prepare the dishes as usual and hand them off to me. Just like last time, never making eye contact or reacting to anything I say. I served Teleporia, her pasta, and Hendrik his lobster. Spaghetti might not seem like a fancy food, but these noodles are pitch black. I mean, I think they're cool. She seems pretty neutral about them, which isn't the worst outcome I can imagine. So before I go, is there anything to your liking? Is everything to your liking? I swear I can read. Is the food, powering your true form enough? Silly imp, when in my true form, I do not consume human fuel. This human template, what did you call it? Hendrik's caught mid-bite, and he covers his mouth to respond. Human sona. My human sona consumes calories, inhales oxygen, excretes feces, all the same as you yourself, I assume. I never expected to have a restaurant patron ask if I breathe and poop, but here we are. But my true form requires something much more deeply sustaining. She stares me down. She looks at my teeth again. She looks me in the eye. She holds that eye contact and waits. I try not to squirm, but my moxie is inadequate for this situation. She waits, and then laughs. I can breathe again. Delicious. A light dusting of fear, nothing too overwhelming. That doesn't strike her as much fear. Please let me never ever learn what does. So, you eat fear, then? It falls under my purview. Suffering. Sweetie's true form eats concepts, and she builds her human sonas to have quite the taste for them too. Any form of important emotion can sustain her, but she's picky. I am not. Suffering is the only thing worth eating. Eating anything else would be beneath me. It's okay. Whatever you eat. I love you just the way you are. And I would like you much better with several more stab wounds to the head. Anytime, sweetie. Though I manage to sneak away for the next 15 minutes, I know that I'll eventually have to return. I try to strike up a conversation with the line cooks again. So, how do you guys feel about the recent tentacle invasion? Of course, nobody responds. Yeah, it's hard to really put it into words, huh? No response. Dishes click. I guess the spooky atmosphere has a certain charm, but I don't think it'll catch on with the baby boomers. Conventional wisdom says that they like elegance or rustic charm. And Midwestern moms are not into dripping fluids. I mean, as a general group, I don't want to assume individuals' tastes. This gets boring quickly, so after the appropriate waiting period, I head back over. So thank you for dining with us tonight. I did it. I made it through the evening. I'm tempted to not even give them a check, to just rush them right out the door. But I refuse to slip up now. It's been a delight getting to know the both of you. How kind of you. You know, I was planning on heading out, but you know what? I couldn't care less if I attempted, and I am very powerful. I am capable of carrying far less than most humans could in their most apathetic dreams. Let's do dessert. Oh. Okay. I look from his smiling face to Talipori's cruel one. I know how this goes. Let's make a recommendation. You know what? Fuck it. Caution to the wind. Bananas Foster Flambe. Is my professionalism slipping up? Must be. What are we impregnating? Sweetie, it's a figure of speech. I don't have that function this time around. Sweetie, I think he's just tired. That's okay. I think if I want this to be a truly satisfying night for our esteemed void goddess, then she's going to enjoy this dessert. Or at least how we cook it. What is this blathering about? But I can tell I've got her hooked. We cook it tableside, with a huge flame. And there it is. I'm not sure about this. Looks like he's picked up on the pattern too. Oh, I insist. I don't even need to write this one down. One flaming dessert for table 6. I scramble about the kitchen, grabbing everything I need. Am I cleared to do this? Hell no. 2 weeks is not long enough to have permission to set things on fire next to the diners. But tonight's special, isn't it? I wheel the cart over. Feeling a mite chatty, I take my time prepping to light it on fire. So, congrats on getting out of, what did you call it? The cold place? The void. Void. God, what's it like in there? Dark, cold, mostly barren. Locked for something approaching an eternity with nothing but your own thoughts. Unless one can become creative. I do my best to make creatures to fill it, but it is a vast expanse. Literally endlessly big. with nothing in it. Yeah, I caught part of your conversation before. You made your body, right? Indeed! When rifts become open, I am able to seize not only heat, but stray matter. I model the majority of my creations after your carbon-based life forms, but modifications must be made. I'll bet. If the void doesn't have heat or any of its own matter, you'd need to make creatures that don't eat or breathe, right? Good human. I model most of them after myself. And you eat concepts? Yes. After billions and billions of years, I have evolved over 1 million species of void creature. Nearly all of them feed, as I do, on the concept of suffering. So, it's an endless, barren place with no light, no heat, where the only things that exist just go around preying on each other's suffering all the time? Yes! It is not... Is it not marvelous? And someday, human imp, there will be a rift large enough that it is not tiny scraps and stray humans which fall through, but your entire plane of existence. You will enjoy it. Wouldn't I, hate it? I got distracted there for a bit, but I grabbed the rum. Can't caramelize it right without a pretty flame. I mean, I don't enjoy suffering. You'd be surprised what humans could get used to. I used the wrong English word. A closer translation might be resignation. You'd become resigned to an existence saturated with pain. Enjoy isn't the correct term, unless you're a disgusting cluster of miswired brain signals. Love you too, sweetie. Ugh. I know what you're doing, Hendrik. You think if you can keep delaying me with fancy dinners, stolen body parts, gentle words, and rough sex... Could we not talk about our sex life in public, thank you? She places a hand on his arm. That you can stop me. You are, as always, disgusting, but an appealing opponent. Look out. And I light it up. The flame shines in her eyes, and I can feel the heat coming off it. I should probably be keeping a close eye on it to make sure it's cooking properly. Looking over at Hendrik and Teleporia, they're holding hands, so simply and happily. She's gripping his hand tightly from joy. And then she jerks him across the table, straight into the flaming cart. Now that burn, that's one that could cause permanent damage, though he may be lucky that that's the worst thing that happened to him tonight. He executes a perfect stop, drop, and roll, and soon the flames are out. Yeesh! Though he's far from unscathed. Human, this was a fantastic dinner! Bring us the statement, so that we might repay you for your noble worship and gifts. I salute, and will what remains of the upturned cart away. It's not long before I return with the bill in hand. He takes the check. He seems to do a bit of a calculation in his hand, then lays down some cash. Well, this evening wasn't a complete waste of time and effort. Organ ravioli! Hendrik looks up at her. You may have one short, friendly embrace. He jumps to his feet, arms wide open to hug her. And one of her tentacles slams into him, throwing his body across the room. It slams into the wall and ragdolls to the ground. Hug transaction complete. Oh no, did you just kill him? She heaves a sigh. Would I were so lucky. No, human. I have merely rendered him unconscious. That's good. Via severe cranial hemorrhaging. That's bad. He will sleep it off. I've ripped off his limbs before, you can take it. She looks almost fond. She gets up, walks over to him, and grabs him by the foot. I suppose it is time to return him to his residence. She perks up. Or I can abandon his body in a trash unit. Perhaps nobody will find him, and he will be placed inside a trash compactor. As she turns to drag him away, I ask, Miss Teleporia. She turns quizzical. Human, I am departing. You've made it through this evening unscathed. You have little to no ability to comprehend how fortunate that makes you, but I suggest you make an attempt. I clear my throat. I think I'm trapped. I gesture around at the restaurant. Oh yes, I had forgotten. Your world usually has even more light, does it not? She shrugs. Well, I had no hand in this. And with that, she waves aside a tentacle and marches through the front door. Hendrik's head thuds against the ground as she walks down the staircase and out of sight. When I hear the front door close, another server bumps me in the shoulder, stepping past. They give me a dirty look and keep heading their way. Just like that, I'm back. I get moving, clearing the table, scooping up the check. I check the tip. 40%! It might not cover emotional distress, but it'll cap off the shift well. This was quite the experience. But for my own safety, I think I'm going to skip the 2 weeks notice. I came here to learn something new, and I'd say that that goal was more than accomplished. Huh? Ending 4?